Welcome to Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. Our podcast showcases inspiring appraisers and professionals from the industry who are leaders in their field. How did they get to where they are? What have they learned along the way? What can we learn from them? Your host is real estate investor, entrepreneur, and appraiser, Michael Hobbs.
Well, welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic summer. Excited to be coming to you with another thoughtful, informative, and engaging perspective from one of our peers. Eric, I appreciate you joining us.
It's good to be here.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, friends, as you all know, you can do what only you can do, and that is click that subscribe button, which is a powerful signal to the networks that this is something not only that you enjoy, but you get some great value out of. And, of course, hit the like button on this episode because, who doesn't want to be liked? I mean, Eric likes to be liked too. So for that, be generous in that sense. Well, Eric, I appreciate you being with us. Everybody wants to know, were you born this way or how did you get into the appraisal and valuation profession?
So, I don't know. I always, when I was a kid, I was always terrified because I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Wow, really?
Both my parents knew exactly what they wanted to do. They were both enamored with the advent of television, and they were both broadcasting professionals. And,
oh, wow.
I had no idea what I wanted to do, and it scared me. When I was in high school, I was thinking about college, and I didn't know what to major in high school or in college. I didn't know what to major in.
Welcome to the world.
And I got some really good advice, though, from somebody who was in the guidance counselor department there. And they said, look, statistically, only about 12% of the people actually work in the field that they got their degree in. So what you should do, that's it. So what you should do is just do something that you like. And if you do something that is fun for you, then you'll get better grades and it won't be such a drudgery. And another friend, an older mentor of mine, confirmed that and said, look, the college degree is just this piece of paper that says that you don't have to work at Jack in the Box if you don't really want to. So go get the piece of paper and then figure it out. So I did that. So I went to school I got my degree from UC Berkeley in sociology.
Oh, okay.
And,
nice.
And sociology is the study of groups of people, right? And
yes.
It's really statistically heavy. So there's a lot of math in it. And it's trying to predict human behavior, which is a pretty tough thing to do. Yes. And then when I got my degree, the timing was pretty crummy. It was in 1991, and the job market was pretty horrible. And a lot of my friends were thinking, well, shoot, I'll just stay in school and get an advanced degree, and then by the time I'm done, the economy will have improved. But that wasn't really for me. I had done school for a long time, I thought, in my young life, and the thought of doing any more was not not appealing. So I thought, well, I should just make some money. But with a sociology degree, it's hard to work in that field in academia without an advanced degree. So it's the father of sampling sciences. So a lot of people go into market research. And I was looking for jobs, and I actually found a job as a market research coordinator for Cushman & Wakefield. So
I see.
And instead of studying groups of people, I was studying types of buildings and who uses them and how they use them. And it was interesting to me because, Apple would use a same kind of building in a really different way than IBM would use that same building. And what do they need? What are their space needs? What are their power needs? How much parking do they need? And so that was interesting to me. And the reason that I got hired for that job was because I actually knew what a relational database was. They asked
Wow.
that
You just
question.
dropped some big words in there, Eric, that some people have no idea. They thought you said you did what in a relationship?
No, so they had these really arcane proprietary software
Hmm.
things that, before I, right before I started doing that, they used to call the position that I took the data bank person, which was
Yeah.
actually just this person that assembled binders of information. And
Mm.
but Cushman and Wakefield, they were on it. They actually had it digitized, and they had this big database. So they had two databases, one for listings and one
Yes.
for done deals, so sales and leases. And there were actually three databases, and they
Got it.
correlated that information and created some statistical models so that you could calculate things like the vacancy rate and gross absorption and net absorption and things like that. So I learned all about that kind of stuff in that job.
That's amazing.
But I did the same thing pretty much every single day. I got two promotions, but I still did the same thing every day. And it was getting a little bit, I could see the handwriting on the wall. That was kind of a dead end thing. There was
I
no
see.
there was no next from there. And so I thought, well, I could go back to school, but the economy is still crummy. And I don't have any money now. And my parents aren't going to pay for it. So, you know, what should I do? And I thought, well, I can leverage the things that I've learned and try and apply that to a different, you know, job. And Cushman and Wakefield was a great place to be because they had, property managers and appraisers and
Hmm.
brokers and all that kind of stuff right there who were using the product that I was producing. So I thought,
Yes.
okay, well, do I want to be a property manager? And the property managers were
Mm.
right next to where I sat. They were answering. It was like, what do they do? Well, they answer the phone all day and take complaints about my space is too hot or too cold or the roof is leaking or there's a homeless guy in the trash bin in our parking lot. I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. And then I was looking at the brokers and they were all, coming off the high of the late 80s into the low of market conditions in the early 90s, and they were all trying to starve to death. And so I didn't want to do that. And then I was looking at the appraisers, and they passed FIREA like 2 years
Yes.
before, and so they were all
Yes.
writing these like phone book appraisal reports that are super thick, and their joke was that they were you know pricing by the pound. And I thought, okay,
That's
well,
true.
I like statistics, I like math, I like creative writing, I can do that. And FIREA, I thought stood for finally I'm a rich real estate appraiser.
Oh, I
So,
love that. That is so, I wish true.
so I wish it was true too, but it's not. But so I thought, okay, I'll do that. And so they took me on as a trainee, and then I learned, you know, kind of my way around basic appraisal stuff. I took the Appraisal Institute courses,
Okay.
and then in about 1995, the
Hmm.
interest rates went up, and people stopped using. They didn't, there was a lack of work in appraisal, and
Yes.
that would be about the time that I was moving from a semi-salaried base to a complete fee split, and it
Ooh,
and it
wow.
and it terrified me because
Yeah.
appraisers are pretty risk adverse people. Otherwise, we'd all
Yeah.
be brokers because they're very optimistic. But so I thought, okay, well, what can I do? Where can I go work where it's a pretty much not fee split environment?
Mm. Yes.
Which turned out to be a really important thing because we were thinking about starting a family and things like that, and security is important. So
Yes.
I went to work in the public accounting world, and
Really?
I worked for Arthur Anderson and their valuation services group,
Okay.
and we got to value crazy things. We did our valuations for mostly mergers and acquisitions,
Yes.
cost segregation studies, and
Hmm.
property tax arbitration, and things like that. So it was really great. I got to work on world-class properties. I got to appraise the Transamerica Pyramid and a
Really?
casino in Las Vegas and all these kinds of fun properties. So that was kind of neat. And then I went into management and I worked at Deloitte and Touche for a little while. And then I
Oh,
worked
goodness.
at KPMG.
Hmm.
And that was right around the time that the Enron crisis happened. And
Holy smokes.
Arthur Anderson went kaplooey. And I
Yes.
thought, and I was, kind of like moving up in the management world in public accounting. And I thought, well, do I want to be on the partner track? Because all my
Mm.
friends who became partner at Arthur Anderson were now basically cash poor. They had spent all this money on their partnerships, and
Sure.
which were worth zero. So I thought,
Wow.
oh man. So I went to go work for a REIT, and,
Fascinating.
again doing in their portfolio management. They were having to do these theoretical disillusionments of portfolios and trying to value
Hmm.
them, and um, I became an Argus monkey basically for a REIT, and I was doing cash flows all the time, and I learned that Argus, it's named after the Greek argonium for gold, right? The
I did
H.
not know that was where that language came from.
Yeah,
Didn't know that was
so
a person's name or was somebody's like favorite hobby or what have you.
no, so Argus is golden. That's what it means in Greek, and it's sort of like
Really?
this truth. The truth is golden, right? So that's where
Mm.
it comes from. And some newspapers are named Argus also. But like the seeker of gold is an Argonaut, like Jason and the Argonauts,
Yes.
Argus, like astronaut, the seeker of stars, or cosmonaut, seeker of space.
Yes.
But Argus is just golden, and
Fascinating.
but doing that over and over and over again, it was very insular. And what I learned was that Argus really meant our guess is as good as yours. And
Ah.
it just
Oh my gosh,
a
that's
lot of
funny.
those modeling things were predicated on growth rates and stuff that were sort of um, not looking at the market, but kind of internal. And
Yes.
rental rates were, well, not what is the market rate, but what do we think we can get? And I didn't really like that. And
Hmm.
so I thought, well, now I've been an appraiser for a decade plus, and I could probably go out and do the fee world again. I think I know enough that I could be productive and stuff. So I did that, and I went to go work for CBRE this time, which is really similar to Cushman and Wakefield. They have a lot of services, but
Yeah.
on a totally fee split basis.
Mm.
And it took a while to get used to that. So sort of 4 months or so of trying to learn how to be fast, and then I got
Right.
fast. But the assignments that I got were, I was incredibly afraid of being poor, so I never turned down
Mm.
anything. And
Okay.
the assignments I got didn't really lend themselves to developing a niche, or so it was hard.
So you were broad based.
Yeah. So, 1 week I would be appraising a gas station. The next week I would be doing a condo conversion down in Fresno, and then up in Grass
Jeez.
Valley doing a self-storage place, and
Hmm.
it was really hard.
Yeah, that
And
seems difficult.
it's a hard way to make a living.
Yeah,
And
keep bouncing around like that.
right. And so I remember one day um, I was appraising something that was near my house, and my office was in San
Wow.
Francisco. Um,
Okay.
and I had little kids, so I went into the
Yeah.
office, But that was like an hour from, or an hour and a half from my house. And
Okay.
so it was a long commute, and I was working a lot of hours. And I never
Hmm.
said no to anything. So I pretty much worked 7 days a week. Because the great thing about being on fee split is, uh, you know, you can make as much money as you want. Um, and the great thing about being on salary is they pay you the same amount of money every 2 weeks. So you can
Hmm.
plan. Um, the really bad thing about being on salary is they pay you the same amount every 2 weeks. So
Ooh,
the good
wow.
thing and the bad thing, it's the same.
Yes.
But fee split is hard. So I was appraising something near my house. And so I was home for dinner, which didn't happen very often. And the kids,
Yes.
my kids were small at the time. I think I remember this. My younger daughter had just turned 4, and my older daughter was 8.5.
Yeah.
And they were screwing around at the dinner table, just doing what kids do, right? And my wife told them to stop. And they were kids, so they didn't listen. And she got mad and she pounded on the table and she said, "This is a special occasion. Dad is home for dinner. You need to behave."
Oh my
And
goodness.
that day I knew that, okay, I needed to do something different.
Wow.
And so I went, it was like in October, and I went to the
Sure.
Appraisal Institute um, fall forum. And there was a firm called Associated Right-of-Way Services that was looking
Okay.
for appraisers to work in
Yeah.
right away. And it was a salaried based job. So I thought, okay,
Yes.
I'm going to leave this fee split stuff behind and go back and go back into the salary world.
Sure.
And my friends were telling me, hey man, don't do it. You're going to be appraising 10 feet of Farmer Ted's lawn all day long. It's going to, for these little teeny values, you're going to do all this work and the answer is going to be, $487. And
Yeah.
nobody's going to want to pay you and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to do, non exciting work. And they were all very wrong.
I was going to say, my experience right away is yeah, there might be that $487.12 slice, but there tend to be some very fascinating assignments.
They were, yeah, slicing the layers of the onion on that bundle of rights is really fun.
Hmm.
And so I took to it, and I did get to appraise really exciting properties. I got to appraise the Golden Gate Park um, a couple of times. I appraised the bottom of the San Francisco Bay. Um,
Wow.
I appraised crazy things, um, pieces of roadways, pieces of railroads, um, kinds of stuff that, airports, uh, crazy things. So I think that my friends at CB were quite wrong. Um, and I got introduced to while I was at ARWS, I got introduced to the International Right-of-Way Association,
Yes.
and I got to be involved there. Um, and I found that it's a great organization, and I got to become involved in the leadership at the local chapter and became chapter president, and
Wow.
that was pretty rewarding, especially seeing your colleagues and your friends get designated and
Yes.
actually be the one that hands them their plaque or introduces them the first time as a designated member.
Hmm.
That it's very rewarding, and and it's fun. And right away is interesting in another way too, which is that you are at the fulcrum between the public's need for quality infrastructure projects and the
Hmm.
property owners' protection of their private property rights. You're right
That's a
there in the
great,
middle.
yeah, that's a great
And
point.
your job is really important because the acquisition people, unlike working for a bank, they have no preconceived idea of what the value is. They don't know. They need you, and they also don't care what the number is, so there's no pressure. They're not
Yes.
trying to sell a loan, or they're not doing a
Hmm.
product. So your
Yes.
job is to make sure that the property owner gets every dime that they're entitled to, and also that the taxpayer pays not one more cent than they have to.
Mm.
And I always told people, everyone hates appraisers. It's a universal thing. Buyers think that you're too high and sellers think you're too low. And if they're both mad at you, the same amount, if they both harbor the same amount of animosity toward you, you've done your job exactly right.
Something to be said
So
about
who
that one.
wants to who wants to do that? But here, working in the right of way arena, you, you, you're protecting the taxpayer and you're protecting the
Yeah.
property owner at the same time, and that's a
Yes.
pretty cool space to be in. And you're ensuring that the laws get followed, the people are
Hmm.
treated fairly, um, and sometimes you can help save project costs, which is great. Like if
Oh, wow.
engineer, you get a map, and engineers have done a great job at drawing very straight lines, and it
Hmm.
plows through something that they don't necessarily realize is very valuable. um, you could just suggest
I
a
love the
turn
straight
here
line
or there.
reference. That's so good.
Um,
So
so
true.
you can avoid things, or you can suggest things like, hey, if you do your work at night, there won't be really any significant damages. But
Yeah.
if you do it during the day, you're going to displace
Ooh.
these tenants, or,
Hmm.
you know,
Impact.
right. So you can lessen the impact of these projects on the people in the neighborhood and improve their life. So that is pretty cool.
It really is.
So, um, so I have been in right of way since 2005,
Oh,
and
no kidding. So,
yeah,
like two
like
decades.
2 decades, and I haven't looked back. I
Yeah.
haven't worked for a bank in 20 years, and that's
Should
really
I say I'm sorry or congratulations?
I'm pretty happy about that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, I I think our services are valued a little bit better here. Now, don't get me wrong, I still get asked all the time, why do these things cost so much and how come they take so long? And um, I don't really need an appraisal. Just give me a number. I just want to know what it's worth. I don't need an appraisal. I hear that all the
Yeah,
time.
I love that one. I don't need an appraisal. I just need to know what it's worth. It's
Yeah,
like I understand. I truly understand. Like you don't actually need a doctor or the hospital or technology. You just need a new heart. Like I
yeah,
get it. Like
yeah.
you don't need any of that other stuff. That other stuff's like in the way.
It's in the way. Just that's all I want. I just want this one thing. So that's pretty good. And then about 7 years ago, I sort of parlayed I did the same thing as when I was in market research. I'm like, okay, well, I know all this stuff about right away.
Hmm.
Where can I take this? And working, uh, at regular hours, it gave me time to develop other things in my life. Um, Devote time to my family, develop,
Sure.
a volunteer career. Um,
That's
and I
great.
thought, and so I volunteered with the Civil Air Patrol, and I was the officer with the Civil Air
Really?
Patrol for
You know what?
like
I
14
actually
years.
know what that is, but I don't know that a lot of people do. Eric, can I? I am interjecting. I'm going to ask you to
Sure,
share a little about the Civil Air Patrol. It's
sure.
fascinating. A friend of mine, her son and her husband are involved in that.
So the Civil Air Patrol is the auxiliary for the United States Air Force, and they have pretty much a three-legged mission. Um, they do 95% of the overland search and rescue for the Air Force
Hmm.
in the U.S. So anytime there's a lost person
Yeah.
or a downed aircraft or even a lost boat, um, the Civil Air Patrol will get called when the county elevates it to the federal level for search and rescue assistance. So, so they do a lot of search and rescue work. So that's one leg of their mission. Another leg of their mission is aerospace education. So they teach aerospace education and lots of different formats. You might see them at air shows or sometimes going into classrooms. And the last leg is cadet programs. So they have a leadership program for youth between, I think it's 10 and 21. I think those.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Because he got in, he was in the he was not yet 16 and got his
pilot's license.
That was one of the coolest things in terms of flight education.
Yeah. So that was really fun. And I got to do a lot of really cool things. And but it helped me to develop some of those leadership skills, and I wanted to apply that in my work life too. So there was an opportunity to come to the Army Corps of Engineers, and
really?
So I came over to the Army Corps of Engineers in 2018, and first I started out in their appraisal group as an appraiser in the Sacramento district, and then I became the lead appraiser, and then I became the chief of the regional appraisal center, and now I'm the chief appraiser for the South Pacific Division. So we value everything that the Army or the Air Force buys, sells, leases in California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Utah. So the Southwest area. So we deal with a lot of in-grants and out-grants and right-of-way type issues, as well as the civil works projects that the Army Corps of Engineers is involved in. So that's a lot of flood control projects here in the Sacramento area and Los Angeles area, as well as the other parts of the division. And we do appraisals for our other federal partners and sometimes foreign nations also.
Really?
The Army Corps of Engineers also enforces the Clean Water Act. So we do a lot of debris removal after natural disasters. So for here in California with wildfire, we want to do debris cleanup, get rid of all those burnt up cars so that when it rains, none of that stuff goes into the watershed. And other areas of the country, we do clean up after typhoons and hurricanes. So members of the Army Corps of Engineers go all over the world doing that. And that tied in a lot with my Civil Air Patrol experience. So I thought it was a good fold for both of those things. And where else as an appraiser can you get to do that kind of stuff? Last year I deployed one of our team members to Guam to clean up from Typhoon Maiwar, and and they're doing debris removal in Hawaii, and we sent people to Florida, and all kinds of things to do, rights of entry and other sort of real estate related things, so that those communities can start to rebuild. And so not only am I not helping rich people get loans and doing cool infrastructure projects, but I'm also ensuring that our military stays ready and that when disaster strikes, nobody has to be alone. That, there's somebody there who knows what they're going through and it tries to get them rebooted, so to speak, as soon as possible. So those kinds of things are pretty cool, and I don't think that I could do any of that in any other environment. And it all started out with not knowing what to do with your life. So,
Oh my goodness.
it's an interesting road. And it's
That is,
not for everybody.
it's not. It's absolutely not. But you know, so many things. I mean, so many amazing sound bites and little powerful, sometimes perky statements you made. But the one in particular, which I think so many people can relate to, is at a point in their life they may or may have been in a job or a role where it was nearly all consuming. And so much so that the people that you're closest to are the ones who know you the least. And
That's right.
and to have that day, that evening, as you referred to it, as coming home and the kids getting yelled at to say, was it settle down? It's a special day because Dad's home for dinner. I just
it was soul crushing to hear that,
yeah
and that's not what I wanted to do. And
yeah
I also know that there are a lot of appraisers out there who, they kind of like poo-poo the working in the public sector,
hmm
because you don't get paid that much, and you have to
yeah
deal with all this bureaucracy. And it's
hmm
true. It's very true. There is a lot of extra stuff in the public sector that you have to deal with, and they don't pay you that well, but they pay
yeah
you okay. And
yes
the entertainment value is incredibly high. So it's like Dilbert every day. And so if so there's that. But I also know that there are a lot of appraisers out there who are, their retirement plan is to drop dead at their desk.
yes
And when you're in the small business model where you're trying to crank stuff out the door and fill the pipeline at the same time, that can be overwhelming. And I don't have to worry about where work is coming from because there's so much of it here, and
yeah
there are so few people doing it. The
wow
Army Corps of Engineers has, I think, 45,000 people in it. We have
45,000.
yeah
Holy smokes.
well, numbers are probably
Total,
different
total, the
this
whole thing. I get.
this number this month, but uh, the number of appraisers that we have,
Yeah.
less than 50.
The market right now is tough for appraisal companies. Many companies are having a hard time getting enough work with the same marketing they used to. Is your company struggling, having a hard time getting new customers, or getting additional work from existing customers? The answer to this problem is easier than you think. Do more business with the people you already know. Over 10 years, the average U.S. appraisal firm meets over 17,000 potential customers. That's a lot of people you could be doing business with right now. But it's a big problem if you don't have a proven process to communicate with them. Storylux turns this problem into an opportunity to grow. Our advanced AI marketing tool can rebuild your contact lists and harvest long-forgotten communications. Imagine reaching out to everyone you've ever met with just one click. For the cost of 1 or 2 appraisals a month, Storylux helps you reconnect and market to people who already know you, like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. Act now by contacting Storylux today to turn your business growth dreams into reality. Email appraisal@storylux.com. That is appraisal@storylux.com. And now back to part 2 of the episode.
Less than 50 out of 45,000?
Right. We have a lot of engineers, and we do a lot of projects.
Oh my goodness.
There's, and the military, they own most of this stuff already, so they're not necessarily buying things. But every
Yeah.
military base has a cell tower on it, or a gas line that runs through it, or
Oh yeah,
something.
that's
And there's
true.
all of these ancillary real estate needs.
Mm-hmm.
And if the valuation part isn't done right, then the taxpayer loses because that, military base or public infrastructure project, its owner is all of us. And if we don't get
Goodness.
the cell carrier to pay fair market rent, because it's expeditious just to give them a number,
Yes.
then we lose. We all lose. So we can't do that.
Wow. Wow. That's something else. That's fascinating. 45,000 employees, 50 of them are real estate appraisers. So that means there's 49 other people plus you is what you're telling me.
Pretty much, right.
And I appreciate what you shared there as I reflect on a conversation I had a couple years ago when a friend and peer of mine, for good reasons, some very similar to what you shared, took an opportunity to go work with a different branch of the federal government. And he was really clear why he took the job. And that was he knew where he was going to work. He knew when he was going to work. He knew exactly how much time out of 168 hours in the week he was going to have to commit. And he also has a family, and the kids are of an age that he is still active in their life, as opposed to, like, they get a little older. It's like they're not around. It's like, okay, it's different. And he also knew that it's different than the public sector. There are different benefits that you get when you work for the federal government. So
Right.
yeah, that is something else.
I can tell you something too on a personal note. So both my kids have special needs, and
Oh, okay.
because they do, I can, declare them as dependents with special needs.
Oh,
And
okay.
when I retire,
Yeah,
which is not uncommon to happen here,
yeah.
and people actually do get to retire. You can
Good to hear.
import your benefits into retirement. That
Serious?
means, yeah, that
Oh my
means
goodness, that's amazing.
that as long as I keep paying for it, my
Hmm.
kids will have medical insurance for the rest of their life.
Oh, that is really special.
Yep. And so it doesn't matter what happens to Medicaid or Medi-Cal or whatever state
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, program they're on. Um, and it doesn't matter what happens to Social Security or any of those things. Um, if I retire with those benefits, then they're covered. And
Wow, what a blessing.
no private sector employer can offer that. And,
Nope, not even close.
you know, and so, that's kind of a trade-off when
That's
you're considering
that's
that, gosh,
huge.
I can't make $200,000 a year. Um, I can only make $191,000 a
What
year
a
because that's the cap.
significant factor and influence.
Are we frozen?
Wow. So Eric, given that opportunity that came up for you to join the Army Corps of Engineers, uh, would you change your mind if the opportunity came again?
No, I think this is great. In addition to, just being a valuation professional in a kind of specialty area that I really like working in, I've been given the opportunity to lead a group. Um, I have 4 trainees in my division, and watching them learn and helping them become appraisers, part of the next generation of appraisers,
Yeah.
is a really great opportunity. And it makes me excited to keep contributing to the profession.
Hmm.
And besides all of that, I'm really too old for astronaut training. So this is,
Is there actually an age limit? I don't know this for a fact. I'm
I don't, I
curious.
don't, I don't know, but I don't know, but I just, yeah,
Love that.
I,
Love that.
you know,
Good for astronaut training.
that 10-year-old in me never thought I'd lose interest in that, but no, I'm not all big on going to Mars. I'd rather just
Oh my gosh.
figure out what it's worth.
Oh, that is something else. Wow. I mean, and a lot of people may know of the Army Corps of Engineer because of all the engineering work they do and special projects. But you touch on how in your role there, on behalf of both Army and Air Force, anything that involves property rights, you guys would be called upon without disclosing anything you can't disclose. Like, what are some interesting things that you would never get to do if you did not work there, in terms of assignments or like challenging valuation puzzles that you have to solve, such as how do we value this land that the bees are on that we harvest honey for something else, from a different podcast about 4 seasons ago.
So, the government has a lot of different regulations. People are familiar probably with the Yellow Book and things like that, but there's also sort of all of this authority. I think what many people don't understand is the government just doesn't, exist to perpetuate bureaucracy.
Yeah.
It is really a safeguard to democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And in spite of what people may read, all of those things that we do every day are to ensure that the law is followed.
Mm-hmm.
So the executive branch follows the law that Congress passes.
Mm-hmm.
We can only spend money that Congress authorizes us to.
Oh.
And it can't be for just that purpose, but it has to be that amount, that purpose, and also within a certain time frame.
Oh, really?
And so there are all of these authorities. For example, the federal government can't sell in fee any part of a military base because Congress appropriated the funds to buy the military base. So you can't sell it off for something else just because you want to,
really?
Or because someone wants to buy it. So, but you can use it for other things that don't interfere with military purpose, like having a cell tower or a pipeline or something else that doesn't take away from the military mission. So, because we can't sell it in fee, then, well, what can you do? Well, you can lease it. And there are different leasing authorities, or you can give a easement, but you can't give permanent rights away. So you can do a temporary easement.
Oh, interesting.
A temporary might be 50 years, but you can do it's temporary. And so there are interesting valuation problems that come up with that, because most easements that people buy, even state and local public agencies will buy a permanent easement, but the federal government can't sell a permanent easement. So we value temporary easements, which is sort of different. So those kinds of things make unique valuation scenarios. But in terms of going to like cool places and things like that, for anyone that's ever served in the military, they hardly ever send you to a garden spot, right? So,
that's true.
Going out to a White Sands missile range where there's acres and acres and acres of desert, which is great. If you need to blow something up, that is where you want to go.
Hence Nevada?
Yeah. Like all of that area around Nellis Air Force Base.
Oh my gosh.
So we work with, like the Department of Energy has a lot of land use near Nellis Air Force Base where they did underground atomic testing, for example.
Oh, I see.
And that creates very unique sort of contamination issues.
Oh, fascinating.
But it also creates opportunities like harvesting helium-3, which is a really important rare earth element needed for supercomputing.
Oh.
And things like that. So you learn a lot about these like kind of weird things. And, but I got to see lots of historic things, like soldiers' quarters that are now historical on Fort Huachuca for, African American soldiers that, were segregated for a time in our military.
Yeah.
And things like that. And, or the historical Zeppelin hangar on Moffett Field. So
Wow.
working around those kinds of things, doing enhanced use leases for Google, and in partnership with NASA, where they're doing things in supercomputing realm and need connectivity and proximity to the Silicon Valley, and an airstrip. Kind of cool. So there are some things that are very different than your 142 unit apartment complex.
You mean there is? I
You'll
mean, I thought that's all there ever was,
shockingly
Eric. I mean, little strip
shockingly
retail. I mean, come on.
Now, having said that, we do a lot of retail leasing because the Army Corps of Engineers does all of those recruiting centers
Oh,
that you've seen everywhere.
oh yeah,
So if
yeah,
you've ever
yeah.
visited a cash checking facility or I don't know, Jubilee Christian Center, we're going to be next door to that because that's where we seem to go.
Oh my gosh,
But
that's wild.
yeah, so just as simple as something as making sure that market rent is correct in a strip center, that's something we still do.
hmm
But the build out for the TI, where we take retail space and we strip it down and turn it into office space,
Yeah.
that's weird. That's weird.
Oh yeah,
So
that's true.
so we get to do those kinds of weird things.
Yeah, that is true. That's not a typical experience. Phenomenal. Well, I mean, given everything that you've seen and everything you've heard and all that you've experienced, Eric, what are you looking forward to over the next 3 to 5 years?
I think we're in a really interesting place right now with the emergence of artificial intelligence.
hmm
Um, and I think that appraisers are still, I think appraisers need to advocate all the time for their relevance. Why do we
Mm,
need this?
yeah,
Why do we need this report? And why do I need an appraiser to tell me how much it's worth?
yeah.
And we run up against this all the time. Even as recently as last month, I attended a project meeting, and someone said, "Well, can't you just get all that stuff from Zillow?"
Oh my God.
Um,
Oh, I love
and I looked at them like, you know, I, I use Zillow, and I don't remember them ever having flood protection easements on Zillow. So I think you still need us. And just kind of explaining what we do to people
Yeah.
and why we're important and relevant and can help is something that is going to be in everybody's tool basket. And we need to do that more and more and more and more. But it's really interesting, I think, to see how we might be able to leverage artificial intelligence to help us do our jobs better while still maintaining that human interface where we're making sure that they're asking the right questions about valuation and where we can add value that people who are not valuation professionals wouldn't really think about. Like the example I gave earlier about, if you do the work at night,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot less expensive and it'll be less impactful. Or if you just bend the project footprint a little bit, you miss this really valuable part. Or, hey, we just want to take it from the edge of the ag land,
Mhm.
but that's where all the wells are.
Yep. Yep.
Thinking about things like that impact value is not something that anybody else really does on a full-time basis anyway.
That's true.
Or the ability to measure the impact, and so that you do get a cost benefit. Okay, well, maybe it is worth it to wipe out the wells, but you also have to know that you're going to hurt you have to replace them, and then you're going to have additional crop loss. And
Yes.
here's what the total amount is, and it might still be worth it to do that, but at least I can help you quantify that
hmm
and be a part of the solution. So instead of just making widgets, right? Pushing reports out because some regulation says we need one. So I think
Love that.
maybe the next 3 to 5 years it will be still telling the story about, you don't want to hire the fastest, cheapest person. You want to hire the smartest person.
Mm-hmm.
And appraisers are really smart people. We're good at figuring out problems. And so I hope to keep doing that.
I love that. I really do appreciate, really appreciate you sharing that. It's a helpful perspective. I mean, Eric, I literally have taken so many notes. I routinely take some notes. I took extra notes. Just so many wonderful things you shared. Really just clear, concise, thoughtful, on target, and such an important, especially there at the end, thank you for sharing, an important reminder for the value of the work that people that choose to be professionals in this industry actually perform. And yeah, there's a lot of people who are just transient in the industry, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a lot of people who really do invest time and their energy and their resources to being better at what they do and who they are. As you know, not that we consider ourselves professional athletes, but in much the same way. I mean, some of the best athletes who stories are known, they invest significant amounts of what they earn back into becoming even better than who they are. And you know, I appreciate you've made some of those choices along the way in your professional trajectory to be at a point that you get to work on interesting and unique assignments that most of us may have only heard of, much less ever come across. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yep, no worries.
Excellent. Well, friends, as I mentioned, another informative, engaging, and inspiring podcast episode. We're grateful for all that Eric shared. Make sure to show him extra love for his extra thoughtfulness and generosity in his sharing. And thank you for doing what only you can do by subscribing to the podcast. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure to be here.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Appraisers, Appraisers on Purpose. We hope you enjoyed learning from the amazing professional paths and achievements of our beloved guests. Before we go, please subscribe on your listening channel, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other podcast channels to hear more from appraisers and valuers regarding their life and their work. After you drop a comment below, who is one friend and peer you can generously share this episode with? If you have any suggestions or questions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us a message on LinkedIn and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks again for listening, and until we're together again for the next session of Appraisers on Purpose, create the change that you seek.